Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday, the 10th of September. Goodness, getting the days mixed up. Okay, so just looking then firstly at news coming out today. Well, there's little really. We've already had the retail sales come out. That's the wrong one. Let's get the right one. Beg your pardon. Lagarde was speaking. Oh, beg your pardon. Lagarde speaking at 10:30, and then we've got the Canadian employment data coming out later, so non-farms effectively for Canada at 1:30. Didn't see a lot of movement at the Bank of Canada rate. We'll see what we get in terms of the employment rate itself. I don't expect too much coming through from that. Okay, so PPI, Producers Price Index, later on. These inflation numbers are really getting largely overlooked because they're ignoring them basically, so that's where we sit with that. Let's have a look at the technicals then on the currencies. And yesterday's ECB meeting did little to give direction either way, and it ended up in this sort of spinning top candle. The markets really just didn't. I mean, it was consolidating beforehand, and it just put a bigger consolidation bar in afterwards, and it's just continuing to do so at the moment. If anything, the way it's sort of sitting here around the lows, I do wonder if it will break to the downside at some point. But it's a mess as we look at it like this. As I say, a break may be a simple trend line across here. It's 753 as I'm recording this. Maybe a break below the daily pivot there, 1822 would suggest further downside, or for those more conservative, just waiting for that 18 area. But it does look soft in this whole picture. So that's the odds. The upside, well, same trend line across the highs there, and be looking for a break of probably about 1835, but technically it looks soft on this sort of intermediate time frame that we've been seeing from the 4-hourly downwards. The pound. So the pound, a very strong day yesterday, pushed on through, strongest of all the majors yesterday that I follow. It put the higher low in earlier on and just carried on shoving through, and it's stalling, I think is the word. Consolidating is where it sits at the moment. Has got a daily pivot below, a breakdown, could see that targeted, but at the moment price wise it still looks like it's got upside to happen, and I wouldn't get in the way of that, so would leave that alone rather than going short on it today. Dolly Yen continues to sit there in this sort of consolidated zone. It has come back actually range wise. There we go. Came back towards the lows there. I drew this little range on, and it seems to be wanting to sit there back into the center point of that. Break above the 110 area, may see it running back to its highs again, the way it's been moving. Not much else to say there. It is consolidated. It is big money is been selling the yen. At some stage I expect it to push up further. In the picture I'm looking at here from the dailies, really it hasn't broken the lows at all, so in effect it's still got the higher lows there and well higher highs, so really it's still sitting there. A push upwards is possible. Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar's been, well, yesterday it looked like at one stage, and maybe even today, looks like it's sort of finding a bit of support onto its daily 21. Just looking that little bit tougher, but shorter time frames it started putting in higher lows, but it's a bit of a mess where it's sitting at the moment. But it's hit the daily pivot, had a good shove up there at 3 o'clock in the morning, looking like it wants to do something at this stage, and well, possible a break above the 73.95 area would certainly see it more bullish. It would give us a higher low, and would look certainly more bullish on the Aussie dollar. Canadian dollar. It struggled. The Bank of Canada didn't do too well with their comments. It was, although they were largely expected. I'm just sort of looking at how it's sitting at the moment, and lower highs being confirmed in there on the 4 hourlies. Maybe it is about to roll over, but don't forget we got the effective non-farms there sitting later. I'm just looking at this sort of shorter time movement at a break of the lows there. The trouble is you may just get a fake out, and then it pulls back in at the earlier sort of time of the day, but it does look like it's got some potential further downside there, the Canadian dollar. Okay, that's that. Now looking at Euro Yen is a cross pair follow quite a bit. So yesterday saw the Euro absolutely diving against the yen there. It's really did break down and continue on the downside. We're seeing a bit of a bounce now. I'm not too sure actually, coming back to daily there, it's not really too sure actually what it is from, but it's managed a higher low there, grinding out something maybe, but unless it breaks back above 130.16, to me it still sits in that area where we could see just a bit of a reversal and it drop back south again. So it hasn't, maybe it's broken a trend line or two, but hasn't really convinced me that this is a proper reversal. As I said, it needs to break that 130.16.17 area. Right, okay, let's have a look at gold. Gold. And get the daily, that'd be good. There we go. Okay, so yesterday managed to pitch back up. Just questioning this again, but it's pushing up again this morning. It's in fact just literally putting a higher low in on that 4 hourly basis, and perhaps we will see a continuation of this sort of move that we'd seen a few days ago, but it's quite a mess. I'm just sort of looking at it on a 60-minute. Yes, okay, it's broken higher lows, and it could have a continuation following through today, but yeah, maybe grinding out double bottom sort of V pattern there, maybe just grinding out the bottom, and we'll see a push maybe above 18.05, becomes a bit more bullish there, and yep, scratches his head on that one. Oil's been a bit all over the shop yesterday. Went out and stopped my near-term oil price out, I short out and then rolled over. Again, spiked all over the place. Really messy price action over the 8 hours, really, backwards and forwards. Pushing back up again at the moment. I'm just standing aside of this at this stage. It's just getting too bitty. Yeah, just too messy at the moment for me. Where to trade it? Well, nothing between these 2 points basically, so it would need to be starting to break back down below the 67, around about the 67 area to be bearish for me for now, so I'm just staying away from this. Well, yeah, I'll leave that. Right, okay, looking at other markets, let's just have a quick look at we'll look at the S&Ps. The S&Ps yesterday at one stage looked like they were. Actually, I'm going to come back to my other chart because it's just clearer to see some of these things for the S&Ps. So the S&Ps yesterday was looking quite nicely, and it was starting to bounce quite well off its 21. I was wary about it in terms of the potential, and well, it did roll off later on. In fact, it was just come down here. You see it. There was the rally, and it just ran into the 21.34 and rolled back south later through the sessions, through the US session into midnight. At the moment, well, it's got the daily pivot above. There is some potential for it to run into that, but as I said yesterday, I know it then pushed up, went on and pushed up, but it does look a little bit soft. These markets do look a bit soft at the moment. Let's just go back. Whoops, let's get the right market in there. Let's get this back in here. Let's have a look at what time is it? 8:01, so I can go into, actually before I do that, let's just go and have a quick look at the Nikkei pushing up strong through the Asian session there. CSI 300 also pushing up here, so both those markets pushing up a little bit more convincingly and stronger, but they're sort of out of correlation with the European markets. European market yesterday really, I mean, the FTSE really carried on selling, sold, broke its trend line, and well, close to double bottoming. We're seeing a bit of a bounce at the moment, but it, again, looks on the softer side. The DAX, the DAX broke trend lines here, finally ended up on a bit more positive, in a positive stage. Maybe it's going to be we'll be looking back at this and saying, well, you know, it's bounced off that 100 moving average. Yep, it's all looking good, but do question these. CAC yesterday was selling. Actually, you see, let's have a look at the. There we go. The sold off. This is the futures market. Sold off and pushed on through for a while. Didn't come to much. Okay, it's recovered at this stage. Recovering this morning. Let's just check that is this morning that I'm looking at. Yep. So pushing through this morning. And the FTSE, well, pushing on there. So US market, all of them just turning around a little bit, maybe following those Asian markets a little bit, so just catching a bit of a bid this morning. And the Nasdaq is just running a look at the Nasdaq. In real terms, some of these markets have moved such a small amount in percentage terms of their overall size, but there's I can see some weakness in the likes of the S&Ps at the moment. Now I may be proved completely wrong, and it may be the bounce back up there, but they do look a bit soft. Whether these likes of the FTSE etc will turn tail shortly after 8 o'clock, we'll see. But at the moment they're pushing up. Right, okay, finally finishing off with cryptos. So no surprises really, consolidation, and I sort of expect that through these markets now. Traders are sort of sitting there uncertain. Of course, there was the El Salvador stuff that caused a bit of a problem. These markets are really back into their well, building ranges again, or back into ranges, so they're just really sitting there. For those long-term holders of these, well, they're probably not even bothered by this current movement if they've got in at the right sort of prices. For those shorter-term buyers, they're probably feeling very uncomfortable. Many of those would have probably been squeezed out the other day, but for the longer term picture, it's probably still got some positive, quite a bit of positivity potential in there when countries stop messing around with Bitcoin, I suppose. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. I wish you all a great Friday's trading and a great weekend. Take care. Bye for now.